deep into the hidden gems of the Bible and uncover the remarkable lives of biblical figures often overlooked. Today, we're exploring the mysterious and captivating story of Zipporah, Moses' first wife. While her name may not come up as often as other figures in the Bible, Zipporah played a crucial role in Moses' journey and the unfolding of God's divine plan. Her story is one filled with courage, cultural complexity, and deep spiritual significance. Have you ever wondered why Moses, chosen by God to lead the Israelites, suddenly found himself in a life-threatening situation with God? Or why it was Zipporah who had to step in at a critical moment, an event that has puzzled scholars for centuries? Join us as we unravel the mystery of Zipporah, a woman whose actions helped shape the destiny of God's people. We'll explore her background, her marriage to Moses, and the profound lessons we can learn from her life. But before we dive in, take a moment to subscribe to Bible Stories and be part of our growing community. If you enjoy this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up, share your thoughts in the comments, and pass this story along to your church group, family, and friends. Together, let's continue uncovering the timeless wisdom of the Bible. Let's get started. Have you ever wondered why Moses, the great leader of Israel, found himself in mortal danger from God, or why his wife had to intervene in a way that has puzzled scholars for ages? Zipporah's life is surrounded by mystery, from her origins and marriage to Moses, to the unique challenges she faced as the spouse of one of history's most pivotal figures. In this video, we will unpack her story, examining her cultural background, her vital role in Moses' mission, and the controversial events that have made her a figure of immense interest. We'll dive into the scriptures that showcase her strength, courage, and the extraordinary position she held in God's unfolding plan. So if you're ready to uncover the hidden depths of Zipporah's story, stay tuned until the end. You won't want to miss a thing. And if you find this video insightful, please remember to like, subscribe, and share it with others who are seeking biblical wisdom. Your comments and questions are always welcome, so be sure to engage with us below. Let's continue growing in wisdom together. Zipporah first appears in the book of Exodus during a critical time in Moses' life. After fleeing Egypt to escape Pharaoh's wrath, Moses finds himself in Midian. Here he encounters the 7 daughters of Jethro, also known as Ruel, a priest of Midian. The Midianites, descendants of Abraham through his wife Keturah, as described in Genesis 25:1-2, were a nomadic people from what is now northwest Arabia. Zipporah's introduction is dramatic. It occurs at a well, a place often associated with significant biblical meetings like those of Rebecca and Rachel. Wells in ancient times were not only crucial for drawing water, but were also central to social and communal interactions. In Exodus 2:16-21, we see Moses springing into action when some shepherds harass Jethro's daughters. Moses defends the women and helps water their flock, revealing his natural sense of justice and his future role as Israel's deliverer. This act of kindness sets the stage for Moses' relationship with Zipporah. When the daughters return home earlier than expected, their father is surprised and asks what happened. After hearing about Moses' heroic deed, Jethro invites him to stay with them. In time, Moses agrees to live with Jethro, and Zipporah is given to him in marriage according to the customs of the time. Zipporah's name, which means bird in Hebrew, symbolizes more than just a union. It represents Moses' full integration into Midianite society. By marrying her, Moses not only gains a wife, but also social standing and protection in this foreign land. In Exodus 3:1, we see Moses tending Jethro's flock, showing how deeply he has become part of her family, a key step in his journey before he returns to Egypt to lead his people. Zipporah's heritage is significant, rooted in the ancient history of the Midianites, who trace their lineage back to Abraham through Keturah. While they are related to the Israelites, they maintained a distinct identity, as detailed in Genesis 25:1-2. This background adds even more depth to Zipporah's role in Moses' life and mission. If you're fascinated by Zipporah's story and want to dive deeper into her impact and legacy, stay tuned for the full exploration in this video. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this with others who are eager to uncover more biblical insights. Of the 6 sons born to Abraham through Keturah, their descendants, including Midian's lineage, formed distinct tribes, each with its own culture and religious customs. While the Midianites were related to the Israelites, they were seen as outsiders in the biblical narrative. Known for their nomadic lifestyle, the Midianites frequently moved through the dry regions of the Arabian Peninsula, with this way of life shaping their spiritual and cultural practices. As the daughter of Jethro, a priest of Midian, Zipporah would have been deeply familiar with the religious traditions of her people. In Exodus 18:1, it's mentioned, "Now Jethro, the priest of Midian and Moses' father-in-law, heard of everything God had done for Moses and for his people Israel, and how the Lord had brought Israel out of Egypt." Jethro's role as a priest indicates that the Midianites had structured religious practices, likely including sacrifices and rituals, even though they differed from those of the Israelites. The Bible portrays Jethro as a wise and God-fearing man, suggesting that the Midianites had a sense of reverence for the divine, even if their understanding of God varied from that of Israel. Zipporah's Midianite heritage undoubtedly influenced her worldview and spiritual beliefs. The Midianites, while acknowledging the God of Abraham, may have also incorporated other deities into their worship, a common practice in the ancient Near East. This made her distinct from the Israelites, who were bound by the covenant established with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and later the laws given through Moses. The union between Moses and Zipporah likely involved navigating their different cultural and religious perspectives. Moses, raised in Egypt and called by God to lead the Israelites, had a unique understanding of the covenant with Israel. In contrast, Zipporah brought her Midianite cultural background into their marriage, adding complexity but also enrichment to their relationship. In Exodus 18:12 it is written, "Then Jethro, Moses' father-in-law, brought a burnt offering and other sacrifices to God, and Aaron came with all the elders of Israel to eat a meal with Moses' father-in-law in the presence of God." This scene shows a significant moment of cultural and spiritual exchange. Jethro, a Midianite priest, offers sacrifices to God, and Aaron and the elders of Israel join him in a communal meal. This event demonstrates a moment of unity and respect between the two cultures despite their differences, and indicates how Zipporah's family influenced Moses and the Israelites as they participated in shared religious rituals. The religious practices of the Midianites and Israelites could have also led to potential conflicts. The Israelites, being strictly monotheistic, worshipped Yahweh alone, while the Midianites may have had a more mixed approach to worship, incorporating multiple deities. This contrast required Moses and Zipporah to find a balance, especially as Moses was being shaped by God to lead the Israelites according to divine laws. Numbers 25:1-3 illustrates the broader issue of Israelite men being led into idolatry by foreign women, as the men indulged in sexual immorality with Moabite women, joining them in sacrifices to their gods. Although this passage specifically addresses the Moabites, it highlights the challenges posed by relationships between Israelites and foreign women, as such unions could lead to cultural and religious conflicts. While Zipporah didn't lead Moses astray, the potential for tension in marriages between Israelites and foreign women was always present. However, Zipporah's story stands out because she maintained her place in Moses' life without interfering with his mission or covenant with God. One of the most enigmatic and debated moments involving Zipporah occurs in Exodus 4, where she plays a key role in an event that has sparked much discussion among scholars. This brief yet intense account has perplexed scholars and theologians for generations due to its mysterious nature and the profound theological meaning it holds. In Exodus 4:24-26 it says, "At a resting place on the journey, the Lord met Moses and was about to kill him. But Zipporah took a flint knife, cut off her son's foreskin, and touched Moses' feet with it. 'Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me,' she said. So the Lord let him alone. At that time she said bridegroom of blood, referring to circumcision. This passage presents a perplexing situation where God, who had just appointed Moses to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, suddenly moves to take his life. The reason for God's anger is not clearly explained, but it is widely believed that Moses had neglected to circumcise his son, which was a critical symbol of the covenant between God and his people, as described in Genesis 17:10-14. Genesis 17:10-11 states, "This is my covenant with you and your descendants after you, the covenant you are to keep. Every male among you shall be circumcised." The command for circumcision, as described in Genesis 17:10-11, was a key element of the covenant between God and the Israelites, serving as a visible marker of their unique identity. Every male was required to be circumcised as a sign of this covenant, which had been passed down from Abraham. By failing to circumcise his son, Moses neglected a fundamental aspect of his faith and the covenant that bound his people to God. This oversight was especially serious given Moses' role as the chosen leader, tasked with delivering the Israelites from Egypt. In this moment of divine anger, it was Zipporah who acted quickly and decisively. She took a flint knife, a tool often associated with purity and ritual in ancient cultures, and performed the circumcision herself. This act shows that Zipporah understood the gravity of the situation and the covenant's importance, perhaps even more clearly than Moses did in that moment. Her words, "Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me," have been widely debated by scholars. The phrase is open to interpretation, possibly expressing a mix of emotions like anger, relief, or a deeper recognition of the significance of the covenant, symbolized by the shedding of blood. Some scholars believe Zipporah's statement reflects the painful reality of the covenant and its demands, binding both her husband and son to God's people. This idea is echoed in Joshua 5:2-3, where God commands Joshua to use flint knives to circumcise the Israelites once again, underscoring the ongoing importance of this ritual for maintaining covenantal purity. Zipporah's use of a flint knife ties her actions to this broader biblical theme of circumcision as a sign of consecration and obedience to God. This event also sheds light on the dynamic within Moses and Zipporah's marriage. "This is my covenant with you and your descendants after you, the covenant you are to keep. Every male among you shall be circumcised." The command for circumcision, as described in Genesis 17:10-11, was a key element of the covenant between God and the Israelites, serving as a visible marker of their unique identity. Every male was required to be circumcised as a sign of this covenant which had been passed down from Abraham. By failing to circumcise his son, Moses neglected a fundamental aspect of his faith and the covenant that bound his people to God. This oversight was especially serious given Moses' role as the chosen leader, tasked with delivering the Israelites from Egypt. In this moment of divine anger, it was Zipporah who acted quickly and decisively. She took a flint knife, a tool often associated with purity and ritual in ancient cultures, and performed the circumcision herself. This act shows that Zipporah understood the gravity of the situation and the covenant's importance, perhaps even more clearly than Moses did in that moment. Her words, "Surely you are a bridegroom of blood to me," have been widely debated by scholars. The phrase is open to interpretation, possibly expressing a mix of emotions like anger, relief, or a deeper recognition of the significance of the covenant, symbolized by the shedding of blood. Some scholars believe Zipporah's statement reflects the painful reality of the covenant and its demands, binding both her husband and son to God's people. This idea is echoed in Joshua 5:2-3, where God commands Joshua to use flint knives to circumcise the Israelites once again, underscoring the ongoing importance of this ritual for maintaining covenantal purity. Zipporah's use of a flint knife ties her actions to this broader biblical theme of circumcision as a sign of consecration and obedience to God. This event also sheds light on the dynamic within Moses and Zipporah's marriage. As a Midianite, Zipporah was not born into the covenant community of Israel, yet her actions reveal a profound understanding of its requirements. Her intervention highlights the tension between their differing cultural backgrounds and emphasizes the centrality of the covenant in their relationship. It also suggests that Zipporah may have possessed a deeper spiritual awareness, recognizing the seriousness of the covenant at a moment when Moses, focused on his mission, may have overlooked it. Deuteronomy 10:16, which calls for the circumcision of the heart, points to a metaphorical understanding of the physical act as a sign of a deeper spiritual commitment to God. Zipporah's swift and decisive action in physically circumcising her son can be seen as reflecting her internal grasp of what it means to be truly bound to God's covenant. Her understanding transcends mere ritual, embodying a deeper spiritual dedication. This episode is a turning point in the story of Moses and Zipporah. Not only does it save Moses' life, but it also reaffirms the importance of the covenant between God and his people. Zipporah emerges as a figure of strength and spiritual insight, capable of navigating the complex cultural and religious challenges in her marriage to Moses. Though brief, this episode provides rich material for reflecting on themes of covenant, obedience, and the role of women in the unfolding narrative of God's people. Later in the story, as Moses prepares to lead the Israelites out of Egypt, the Bible briefly mentions Zipporah and her children returning to Midian. This happens in Exodus 18, where Jethro, Zipporah's father, brings her and their sons back to Moses. Exodus 18:2-3 states, "After Moses had sent away his wife Zipporah, his father-in-law Jethro received her and her 2 sons. One son was named Gershom, for Moses said, 'I have become a foreigner in a foreign land,' and the other was named Eleazar, for he said, 'My father's God was my helper. He saved me from the sword of Pharaoh.'" This passage implies that at some point before the Exodus, Moses sent Zipporah and their children back to Midian. The reasons for this are not made explicit, but several possibilities can be considered. 1. Safety. One likely reason Moses sent Zipporah and their children back was for their protection. Moses' mission to confront Pharaoh and demand the release of the Israelites was fraught with danger. As he prepared to face one of the most powerful rulers of the ancient world, he may have wanted to ensure that his family was safe from harm. Exodus 4:19 states, "Now the Lord had said to Moses in Midian, 'Go back to Egypt, for all those who wanted to kill you are dead.'" Even though the